autonomous, activate, elevate.
Hello and welcome back to Mastering HubSpot AI. Today we're back with John Suarez today to talk through all about Data Hub. So Data Hub, if those of you have been paying attention, is sort of the evolution of Ops Hub inside of HubSpot. And what Data Hub helps us is with a few important principles. But today, as you think about AI, a lot of this comes back to data hygiene, data cleanliness, formatting of your data. And so we're going to talk with John today about some of the questions that we're really hearing from a lot of our clients. And then we're going to jump into the tools and actually show you how this works. So John, I see so many teams rushing in to plug AI into their marketing and their sales tools, but their CRM data is questionable, hygiene-wise. Often it's a mess, if I'm going to be blunt about it. And when you think about the use of all these AI tools, is it even worth using AI if you haven't even cleaned up your database to begin with?
I think you can use AI to clean up your database to start using cleaner data. But to answer your question, I think it's a big risk, honestly, to use bad data. I mean, we've all heard the term garbage in, garbage out. That is absolutely what you're going to get if you have bad data. Put it into AI. You're trying to have some sort of personalized campaign. Well, if your data is not good, it's not going to be very personal. It's going to land flat.
Yeah, it's a great point. And that's something I hear from clients is like, oh, I can't even touch any of these AI tools until I get my data house in order. And I think there's just a level of truth to that. But like you said, there's a lot of sort of low hanging fruit ways that you can use Data Hub specifically, we're talking about today, to help you get to the point where you can start using it for your marketing, sales, and service use cases. So, data cleaning, has always been this chore that people save to the last day of the month, and they know it's something that they know they got to check it off, but they just don't want to do it. No one likes doing data cleanup. So how does HubSpot's new Data Hub actually change that manual process for an ops person? Is it really just an autonomous, easy button you can click now? Or talk a little bit more about Data Hub and how that's making the lives of operations and data hygiene different.
I think it's an easy button compared to the manual spreadsheet cleanup that all of us have done in the past. But Data Hub really helps you set different configurations, preferences on how your data is being cleaned every day on an ongoing basis. So you can choose how to dedupe different contacts that might have, the same name, same address, but really similar emails. So maybe somebody did a typo. You can choose how to do the same thing with company records, so on and so forth. And you can also set up alerts for yourself to say, oh, this is a kind of an anomaly, this data. What should I do here, right? So it's a bit of both, right? You can set up automations, but you can also set up notifications to say, oh, I need to come in here and do something different, clean up the data in a way that you maybe don't want to create an automation for.
Yeah, that makes sense. And, I think many of us are used to using some sort of deduplication type of tool, but if someone has slightly different versions of their name, it helps deduplicate some of that. But you mentioned a little bit about HubSpot AI and patterns that HubSpot's able to see that are maybe different than the deduplication tools of a decade ago.
Right.
How is Data Hub a little bit different than some of those tools that we were used to from a decade ago?
Well, first of all, it's part of your CRM, so it attaches all of these different data points together, baking in AI on top of that to create this these recommendations that say, okay, well, based on all of these different data points, these contact records or this set of data is probably best cleaned up in this way. So it uses all of your different data to help inform how to clean up that data, which I think is really powerful. Also, they have in Data Hub, interface is very clean, very straightforward. So you know what you're changing, you know how you're manipulating or cleaning your data as you're doing it.
Yeah, and I would add to that too. I think some of the more modern data cleaning tools, they're also bake in enrichment. So it's not we're just cleaning up fields and capitalizations, which that's very important. But it's also looking at that person on LinkedIn. Is that what company they're still at today?
Exactly.
And I think it's able to bake in some of that functionality, and by going out and crawling the web, pulling out information from disparate sources to be able to give a complete picture of the customer.
Exactly.
Just sort of, I guess, kind of basic question, but does messy formatting, lowercase names or weirdly entered phone numbers, does actually hurt the bottom line? Or is fixing all that stuff, is it just sort of an OCD thing that managers want you to get done?
I mean, you tell me. You receive probably 100 emails a day, if not more. A lot of them are probably cold outreaches or people you've subscribed to. If you get an email and your name is misspelt or the capitalization is weird, lowercase Paul, uppercase or title case Schmidt, something in the back of your head's like, this is a little bit weird, right? So that in as far as like talking to your database and communicating with them, I think does matter. But beyond that, whenever you get to things like, building different ICPs, who you're targeting, how you're using data to inform your strategies, which inform your bottom line, then I think data matters tenfold.
Yeah, and I would add to that too. I think having all that formatting and simple capitalizations and fixing all of that by having a really very accurate data within your own database, then when your CRM is going out and it's finding third-party information and it needs to match on those
Right.
types of fields, then it's not questionable. Like it can actually go out there and say, this is their first name, last name, and email, and this is exact versions of it, and it can then more easily match on that. So I think it's you have to think about the future, not just like how the data is today.
Said that something that we see a lot of is clients coming in, they want to either migrate or importantly, integrate different systems into HubSpot. And a lot of these APIs, they work differently and they need data in certain formats, oftentimes a standardized format. And I can't tell you how many integrations have just we've hit the brakes because the data isn't right. So we need to go back and clean it up, which makes a tool like Data Hub so powerful for having HubSpot talk to other systems.
Yeah. And take us through if we're jumping into a board meeting and we have to show them some of the data hygiene work that we did, and I've only got an hour to do it. Like, what are some quick ways that we can start seeing value immediately from the data quality area inside of HubSpot?
Yeah. So you have like your data health score. That's an easy one, right? You have things like AI deduplication. You have tools like reformatting, cleaning up all of the formatting. So you can say, I have gone from, I've had these many records, right? Thousands of records that have all sorts of different formats and are now clean. And of course, you can talk about the downstream impact of that, of the reporting around KPIs is more accurate because we've deduplicated all of our contacts, or, a lot of our sales outreach campaigns are more targeted and they're performing better because our data is cleaner and we reformatted everything.
Yeah, I think those are a couple of good ones. I'd really like the deduplication or like cleaning up and combining of contacts that you've got just multiples of is really actually going to save you the next time you have to go renew HubSpot.
Yep.
Maybe you don't need to do a contact tier upgrade because you've like really narrowed down the actual volume of contacts that you have in your database. I would also add just one more, and I think this is important for those of you that have had HubSpot for a lot of years, is that if over the period of time, add more contact properties and company properties and deal properties to your database. And then, over time, some of those people stop using them and you need to sort of sunset them. And that's one other just quick way is sort of like property pruning is what I would call it, is just getting rid of the properties that are not used, were never used, or maybe they had good intentions of using them, but they were never actually used. So I really like that other way. You go to that board in another hour and you say, hey, I was able to clean up half of the properties that we don't even use in the database anymore. And so I think those are a couple of quick wins that you can have.
And property pruning, I think, is so important for any data ops person. I don't need to tell them that, but it's like if you come into a system and you're trying to change around different automations, whatever, and you have 20 duplicate properties, right? It's going to take a while just to figure out which one you actually need to address.
My last question before we get into the demo for today is just around trust and governance. And I think the idea of using AI to merge data is pretty scary for a lot of companies. How do we make sure that the machine doesn't just accidentally delete a whole bunch of really important properties that are mission critical when we're cleaning up? How do you think about that?
You just set guardrails in place. That's one of the beauties of Data Hub and the rules-based system that you can set, right? So you can have Data Hub automatically clean up or reformat certain properties, but anytime, say, deduplication occurs with contact records, you could have a manual review set up to say, okay, I want to look at all these records or a certain subset of these records that might meet, or go outside the lines of maybe binary rules. So you can make it your own and figure it in a way that it works for your business and has really low risk as far as, deduping anything. But as far as deleting records, right, just outright don't have it delete any records.
There's a lot of controls you can have in place and say, hey, this is a mission critical property. We don't touch that without human review. Whereas maybe there's some other properties that are less important, less mission critical that you can get away with AI having more liberty in updating that data. Well, John, thanks again for joining us today. Next, we're going to jump into the demo and we'll show you a little bit more about Data Hub. Thanks for joining. Today, I'm going to take you through some of the features that help you better understand AI ROI from your own organization. I'm going to take you through Breeze AI, and then I'm going to take you into some of the individual agents so you can understand from a reporting perspective how much efficiency or sales are you seeing as a result of using some of these AI-powered tools from inside of HubSpot. So first off, if you go into Breeze, if you click on this down here, then click on Overview, click on Dashboard. This is your analytics view of your Breeze assistants and any agents that you've built inside of here. And if you scroll down here, you can see there's 3 tabs that show you reporting based on agents, Breeze features, and assistants. And so here you'll see inside here, you'll see the overall volume of the runs per agent. And then you can see what are the agents that are running the most in your organization? Are you using prospecting agent? Are you using customer agent? Are you using any other kinds of agents? Next, you can see Breeze features inside of here. These are some of the Breeze features that we talked about in the Data Hub episode. And you can see how is AI being used within your portal to help you keep your data clean, organized, how you're using it for summarization. Next, we have our assistants. And you can see inside of here, assistants are right inside here in this top right part. And here's where you can see the overall volume and number of runs that you had per assistant and which are your most used assistants. I find this to be really helpful so you can see which of your teams are getting the most value from the various assistants. So that's Breeze Analytics. That's the best way to understand Breeze usage across your portal. Now let me jump into a few other specific spots. If you manage marketing analytics, you're going to want to come over to your website pages, and you can see some of the usage of content agent in your portal. And you could specifically do that by using the created by agent known filter inside of here is known. And so from here, you could then go and look at which of your pages are helping you generate traffic that were originally created by AI. So that's a good use case right there, especially if you're using AI to spin up a high volume amount of pages on your website for any use case. Next, I'll show you email reporting. If we go into our email, what we can do is we could create a report based on what are the email reply rates based on AI generated emails. So if you manage email marketing for your organization, what you can do is you can come into your reports, and then you can go and create a new report. And here's how this one is built out specifically. You can see of the emails inside here that were co-created with AI, what is their average open rate and click-through rate? So this is pretty useful if you want to A/B test your emails, comparing human-generated emails versus AI-assisted emails. This is a great type of set of filters to be able to see this over time. Now we're looking at the analytics within Customer Agent. If you go into Customer Agent or Service and then Customer Agent, and then scroll down to Analyze on your left side, you can see the number of conversations that you're having with Customer Agent. Customer Agent is your AI-powered chatbot. And what you can see here, how many conversations you're having, how many tickets is it helping you resolve. And then you can see these conversations over time and how well they're helping your team. Our Customer Agent is great for both sales use cases as well as service use cases. The types of reports that you're going to want to look at kind of depend on if you're using this to try to create new leads or if you're trying to use it to resolve tickets from existing clients.